Back to the Future? Or you like?
No, you're not going to be happy. Okay.
I'm already not happy.
Well, I didn't really grow up with it, and more kind of like a comedy, I guess, right? And I'm more into like the adventure, fantasy, and horror. So, I mean, it's sci-fi a little bit because there's time travel. I don't know. I like it. I'm not like a huge fan of it. So I guess I'm below baseline.
You're definitely below baseline. It's fine. It's fine. It's fine.
We'll move
on from here. We'll move on from here. So, get back to the matter at hand now that the set has been passed.
Yes.
Let's talk about Alex Garland and Annihilation.
Yes. So I haven't read the book, but I've seen the movie twice.
Okay. Thoughts, questions, comments, concerns? You start.
I feel you will give me insight because a book is always has more information. So.
Well, let's start with this. Had you seen Ex Machina prior to Annihilation?
Twice.
Okay. And okay, did we like Ex Machina? Because I have no thermostat anymore for like what you like.
I did like Ex Machina.
Okay.
Yeah.
Okay, so just give me like your thoughts on Annihilation. Just give me like general highlights.
I thought it was excellent. It's a really good movie. It's rare that I'll watch a modern day movie twice, except for the two we just discussed. But it is rare. I mean, most modern day, we do movie so we'll just go to the movies, we'll watch it, and I'll be like, I'm good on that, like forever.
You might be the only two.
Do you know what I mean? Whereas classics, stuff I mean, I watch every year. There's movies I watch every year. Like Halloween, I pretty much watch that every year. Or maybe Alien.
Well, for me, it's Nightmare on Elm Street, like that. I watch that every Halloween. Yeah.
I watched it last.
Did you really?
I really did, yeah.
Part one?
Part one, yeah.
Mm-hmm. Okay, so continue. Annihilation thoughts.
Okay, so does it make sense to you that the book is more suited for what they were trying to do than a film? Because that was one of my takeaways was that I need to go read the book now because.
Okay.
So, but they're described. It's better to imagine than to like cram into a 2-hour movie.
So let me say this about that. Thank you for watching my 6-series breakdown of 2 chapters worth of reading. So I want to say this about that. Like, I saw the movie first. I had no idea it was based on a book, right? And so when I bought the trilogy, and again, like the movie's only the first book, right? Like, it's just book 1. So this is one of those like rare occasions, and I don't know if it's sci-fi or I don't know if it's just this particular circumstance, but like the movie, this is one of the rare occasions where the movie could arguably be said to be better than the book because it's the way Alex Garland wrote the screenplay and adapted the source material is different enough to where it stands on its own. But the book is a lot trippier and like way more psychedelic and way more like you're like all of the Natalie Portman kind of goings on that you have in the movie, like multiply that by 10 in the book. Like you're just in her head watching all of this shit go down, and it's just a completely different experience. And because you have this like tower in the book that doesn't exist in the movie, there's just a different.
Is the lighthouse in the movie?
The lighthouse is in the book and in the movie. The tower is something completely, just belonging to the first book.
Yeah, I would love that experience of going through step by step with her, like in her head. So maybe I would like the book equally.
And the hypnosis is in the book and not in the movie. But you know, like how Jennifer Jason Leigh is so delicious in the movie, like she just plays like creepy, like so, like you cannot get a read on her.
Mhm.
That's exactly how she's written in the book.
Oh,
And
wow.
but even more like you don't know what the fuck's going on because Natalie Portman's character in the book clearly knows that she's hypnotizing people. But
Mm.
yeah, and I don't know, like it's a completely different experience, and I think they both stand on their own, like totally fine. But having read the book after seeing the movie, and then going back and watching the movie, it just like it levels up because
Wow.
you have all of this context for like what happened to the previous expedition. So like when you're seeing like Daddy come back from Area X and you know he's walking up the stairs and Crosby, Stills, Nash and Young is playing and you're having this whole moment, like you get all of the context for like where he and like the previous 10 expeditions have been, and it's just more rich. But the movie, like the you know how at the end of the movie she goes into the lighthouse and then she goes and she sees Jennifer Jason Leigh like kind of become the whatever it is,
Yeah.
and then you see like that psychedelic kind of whatever entity.
Yeah.
None of that happens in the book.
Hmm.
I think that was like the shortcut of Alex Garland like giving you like finality to the story. But
Hmm.
the like the thing that's great about the movie is that we know that at the end of the movie like Daddy comes back and it's not really Daddy, it's like Daddy's duplicate. In the book, you don't know who's a duplicate and who's not a duplicate.
You don't think it's still a little bit um, ambiguous in the film, or no?
Oh no, I do. I think it's if you haven't read the book and you've just seen the film, it's I think and having read like some of his commentary on it, like he definitely made it such that the ending was for you to kind of interpret, but there is still some finality to it in the sense that like we know in the movie that she kills whatever the entity is that created the shimmer and X because they send that other expedition in after the fact and they're like there's nothing there. So there is some reality to it, but we know that it's open ended because Daddy's a dupe and she's got shimmer in her blood.
Yeah, they make it seem like at the end, like they're fucked. Like
Yeah,
we're all fucked basically because he is the duplicate, not the original.
but I didn't see it as did you see it as like hopeless? I was like, what's the opposite of hopeful? Did you see it as hopeless or like hopeful?
Well, if you're to you
Sorry.
have to be pretty open-minded.
Well, yeah.
Then it's not so bad because it's not like we're just all being obliterated or anything. It's that we're becoming one with this other thing and changing. So I mean, it just depends on how you look at it, I guess. It's not really like the end of humanity. It's an evolution.
Yeah, and the thing that I loved about when she's being debriefed is, you know, when they're trying to like with their scientific materialism, they're just like, what does it want? Is it alien? Is it carbon based? Like, give me facts, give me facts, give me science. And she's like, she keeps saying, I don't know. I
I'm
thought
just
that you're fine. Take me wherever you want to go. I thought that was some of the best writing ever. Is just to like say, and I don't know, because then you leave it up to the audience
right.
and you're not giving them easy answers, but also even though Area X quote unquote like shut down, like she killed whatever it was supposedly at the end of the movie and it's not gonna like overtake humanity, we still have, you know, duplicate Daddy and then we have, you know, Shimmer Blood Natalie Ports, and they're probably gonna have a baby and then, you know, we're gonna have, you know, that whole situation. But I thought it was hopeful because they somehow came back to each other just in a different way. But I think it's also hopeful because, or just, I think it was kind of like a happy ending for me because in the movie, she has this relationship with her husband that she can't fix because she's been fucking sleeping around on him. And now she has a fresh start. So you have that.
Yeah.
And I don't know. And the fact that Jennifer Jason Leigh was just, you know, I don't know if it wants, and Natalie Portman, when she was briefed, is like, I don't think it's anything. Like, just this notion of like it not having an agenda is really hard. Like, are you propping me up with a xenomorph? What's happening?
Yes, it is a hard concept to kind of grasp.
Just the like
we're all operating as humans with a framework of how humanity works.
Right.
So it's challenging us to drop that and just think about how this other entity operates.
Yeah. And something that has no agenda, like we cannot comprehend that. Like it doesn't want anything. What did she say? They were like, it's destroying. She's like, it's not destroying everything. It's just changing. It's just changing into something
right.
new.
Right. Exactly.
Like our brains just can't even handle it. But
I mean, that's scary, like body horror, and change in and of itself is horrific for some people.
Yeah, well, I would argue for me.
Right. Change is hard for a lot of people. So maybe that is terrifying, you know, more than like a finality of ending life as we know it, changing life as we know it.
Yeah.
To me, it's not that scary, though. I don't know.
Yeah.
What if it changed for the,
I want to ask your opinion on like a particular scene of the movie, but there's something in the book, and I reference this in like the first week's video, but like in chapter 1 of the book, when they first go into the Area X, she talks specifically, she literally says, because they've evacuated the area like long since the anomaly happened, right? Like there's no humans there. And so like you have like this overgrown lush, and can we just talk about like the fucking set design in this movie? Oh my god, wait, that's what I wanted to talk to you about. So in Pandora in Disney, okay, stay with me. This is all gonna make sense. You have what?
I've never been to Pandora. Come back. I know, it's just I was living in LA, and then I've been to Disney since I've been back, but I haven't been to Animal Kingdom since I've been back. We're gonna rectify all of this, but
trust him.
I'm waiting for a special day.
See, I did not expect my blood pressure to rise so high on this. So everything I'm about to say is going to make no sense. But if you should get to Animal Kingdom and go to Pandora before I see you, hang on, I gotta reset this other camera. Just give me a hot second. If that should happen, then what you need to do when you go to Pandora is, if you will notice, it's kind of like by flight of passage, the ride. Like the farthest you can get in Pandora, like where it dead ends, they have like all these, like, you know how Disney has all the Instagram walls? Like there are these walls that I swear to God, and I pointed this out to Cindy and Chris when we were just there. You know that texture in Annihilation that's on the wall when they go into the barracks, and it's kind of on the trees, like that multicolored kind of weird mossy fungus? There are walls in Pandora. I literally had to grab Cindy and Chris. I was like, tell me I'm like making this shit up. It's the same, somebody that was involved in both, I swear to God, because it's the exact same thing. It's that same texture. It's that same like malignant, flowery, beautiful, multicolored situation. I promise. Anyways, so
And okay, so at the end of the film,
yeah,
when she goes into the lighthouse and then down into that hole, does
yep.
that not the
So we put
set
on
design
Alice in Chains.
there or CG, whatever it is,
Yeah.
inside of, does that not remind you of H.R. Giger?
I was okay. Thank you, because I mentioned this to Jordan, my neighbor, when I forced her to watch the movie. The whole like architect, but it moves
Yep.
in the movie. It's like it undulates, but it was very Giger. It was
Yes.
it was very specifically Aliens, not Alien.
Yeah.
Part two, but yes. And
Yeah. Loved it. I loved it.
Oh, but that brings me back full circle.
I especially love, like, one of my favorite things in the movie is when she kind of does the dance with her double.
You want to talk about that?
So amazing.
I found out after the fact that was choreographed by some famous ballerina.
Oh, wow.
And yeah, so I thought that was beautiful. And like the whole, like,
It was awesome.
Like, at first, when I first saw the movie, I was like, this is like her shadow, like, just like, you know,
right.
do like that. It's the shadow version of yourself or something, but.
And there's this like claustrophobic sense of like, she just wants to get away from it, but like she's on a DNA level, she cannot get away from it.
Because it's her.
Yeah, because it's her.
And it's not weird. A shadow, it's literally like her projection. It's her mirror.
Yeah, so weird.
Yeah, I loved it. And like that moment when she tries to run out the door of the lighthouse and it crushes her, and you see her kind of like suffocating, and then you kind of see her it click for her, and she's like, oh, if I just stop fighting, she'll release. And then you like see that beautiful like movement where she like falls backwards.
Yeah,
it's so delicious.
They nailed the ending. The ending was so satisfying.
I think so too. I think it was a perfect ending for a perfect movie. I'm so sad that like more people didn't go to see it, but I mean, that's to be expected. I'm really sad though that it didn't win any awards, not even like technical awards.
Yeah.
But that whole like environment that they create in the movie is very well recreated from like what goes on in the book. But there's this part in chapter 1 where she first goes in and she's just like in this state of overwhelm, even as like a biologist, because she's seeing the shit that shouldn't be. And she says, desolation, there's beauty in desolation, right? And she's referring to the fact that there's like no human life because they've long since evacuated the people that live down in these fucking Florida swamps. And shout outs to Florida for actually making it into a motion picture. But then she says desolation tries to colonize you. And in the book that like takes a very different like narrative turn, but in the movie that's like it's explicit, even though they don't say that in the movie. It's explicit because it literally becomes their blood. Like their blood starts to like they're being colonized from the inside out. Or like when you see Tessa Thompson turn into the fucking tree, you know. How delicious was that moment? Like
amazing.
Did she do anything wrong? That's the greater question, I think.
Yeah. How do you feel about specifically the extreme gore in the film? And I'm thinking of the moment
the bear
of the guy getting cut open, and then also the bear creature.
Okay, so the bear is what I wanted to talk to you about, but I loved the gore, and I loved, when Oscar Isaac, when Daddy's like just straight, no anesthesia, just cutting into your daddy, and just we get like our large intestine is just alive. Loved it, and I loved Gina Rodriguez in the movie. I thought she was brilliant. But what I wanted to talk to you about, and I mentioned this in the last video, is like the scene with the bear. To me, because I don't scare easily, if at all. I get 0 to no adrenaline rush with anything film-wise, really. It takes a lot. That scene with the bear,
Yeah.
like that was a literal edge of my seat moment in the theater. And every time I've rewatched the movie, that to me is one of the most brilliantly executed horror moments that I've seen in film in like that I can recall. Like where I've literally been like like my breath was like caught in my chest.
Yeah. I felt the same way in theaters the first time I saw it. And
it's not like traditional like slasher gore, but it was terrifying.
Really intense, yeah.
And then when the bear like chews her jaw, like her lower jaw off, and they show it, and they show like the girl that like the reason why the bear sounds like the chicks he like ate her vocal cords, like when they actually show that, I loved it. But I like gore, and I think I like cheap gore and I like expensive gore. This was obviously expensive gore, but like I thought this was just like so well done.
Yes. I need to read the book now.
You do. I will say like the second book it's interesting. Each book is different. Like the second book is kind of almost like a whodunit. It reads like a mystery novel.
So where's our second movie? Is it coming?
No, I don't think so. I think this was just like a one-off.
Yeah.
I think adapt the second and third book like wouldn't work for a movie. Like it's too, yeah. I don't think it would work.
Okay.
Yeah, but yeah, I don't know. There was something else. What did you just reference that I wanted to come back to? I don't know. It escaped me. But yeah, you definitely read the book.
What about Portman?
Well, I don't think she can do anything wrong. And well, let's hear your thoughts, because.
Well, I mean, I grew up loving her in like from The Professional, and
Sure.
then I feel like her career had this like glorious start, and it's had a few hit or misses that weren't really her fault as much as the film. She was still great in them.
Yeah.
But of course, like the Star Wars prequels, not my favorite.
No one's.
I mean, I think she was great as that character, but
didn't give her much to work with. Yeah.
Yeah, and like even Black Swan to me wasn't. I need to go back and rewatch Black Swan. But when I first saw it, I wasn't like blown away like everyone else was. I mean, it's still an amazing film, but
I appreciate like you have such a high bar though, and I think that's like really important and like.
Yeah, that's true.
Yeah.
Well, I mean, I was just really impressed with her performance in Black Swan. Like blew. I don't think it could have blown me away much more than it did.
Yeah.
Like, even just the physicality of it and the fact that she like trained and like really went there with it. But like some of the like lesbian sexual stuff wasn't as interesting to me. Surprise.
I wonder why.
Yeah. But even if it were like gay men stuff, it would. That's kind of stuff.
It was a little on the nose. It was a little on the nose. It was just like.
Yeah, but that's that I was not enjoying. But you know, I feel like it's like shocking or risque. Like what because it's sexual or what because it's women. I mean, get over it.
It's not my favorite Aronofsky for sure.
Hmm.
Wait, oh my God. Have you seen Mother, though?
Mother?
Aronofsky's Mother with Lauren.
Oh, yeah. I loved that. Did you love that?
Mother? I want to hear your thoughts on Mother.
That was with Jennifer.
J-Law.
Yeah, J-Law. So, but how did we go from...
Because we were just on Aronofsky. Sorry, just an Aronofsky segue.
Okay, cool. No, I loved it. And that is one that I need to, it's on streaming now, and I need to go back and rewatch but it's such an intense experience. Like it's not even a film, it's an experience. Like you live through the film. Like that's the feel. And if you don't commit, then you're not doing your part as an audience member in that film in a way.
Can I tell you though, like when I saw it in the theater, I was speaking to the fact that it's an experience rather than just like a passive viewing of something.
Right.
And as somebody that grew up Roman Catholic and as a philosophy, like the entire biblical reference that is that fucking movie, I did not clue into when I first saw it. I was so just like, what the fuck is going on? I got
Right.
none of the reference, like just none of it. And then when I read like the reviews and the recaps and I rewatched it, I was like, Jesus Christ, this is just the story of Genesis. It was just, it's so in your face.
I didn't really get it, and then I heard about it later, but I haven't rewatched it, so I just need to go back and rewatch it. But
and the way he shoots it with, is it a octagonal? Like that house has, or maybe it's hexagonal. It's not octagonal. But
right.
The house or that set has got like 5 or 6 sides or however many. It's
That's,
not.
I saw some of the. I don't know where I saw it, but some behind the scenes stuff with it.
It's insane.
I think because we rented it and the disc had like a whole behind the scenes documentary. I watched all of that and it was incredible.
I really had that. I mean, that I think just like Black Swan though, or just any of his shit, like bears a repeat watch. Like you're not gonna get everything the first time.
That's the kind of film. I mean, the work to me, my least favorite, least interesting film is disposable films. That once you see it, you're like, okay, you know, had some good times with it, but not some not great moments. But I never need to see that again.
Okay, so how does something like RoboCop figure into that like 2 categories? Like, because that for most people would be a film. Like that's popcorn sci-fi for most people.
It is, but the people that like RoboCop or any Paul Verhoeven movies, they watch them so many times. Like I've seen Showgirls so many times.
Of course you have.
I've seen Total Recall so many times. I've seen RoboCop so many times. They're just so enjoyable to watch. And I don't know what it is about movies from that era that weren't necessarily intellectual, but had such rewatchability.
So you wouldn't put his films into the category of guilty pleasures? Because I think a lot of people would.
I do, yeah. I do, but I like to wear guilty pleasures on my sleeve.
Oh, okay. All right.
Like the pleasures I like them because they're pleasurable.
But you're coming for Back to the Future, which is, you know.
What, you think that's a guilty pleasure? No.
I think it, in a sense, it is just because it's so dated. Like, but it's.
But for most people,
that's like Back to the Future is going to stand the test of time more than RoboCop is. You know what I'm saying? Like in terms of pop culture.
Yeah, but it's all personal opinion. I mean, I just like RoboCop better. RoboCop has the gore. So they're just totally different. You can't compare them.
No, you're right. It's apples and oranges. It's fine.
I mean, they're from a similar era, so they have that kind of technology of filmmaking, but they're very different. The director for each of those is a very different mindset when he made those movies. You know what I mean?
You can't compare Verhoeven and Zemeckis.
No, Verhoeven is very like he's winking at you. He's like he has a shit-eating grin.
And especially during Showgirls, yeah.
Yeah. Whereas, you know, the other one, it's like he's having, it's different. It's totally different. It's more like family fun in a way, but it's just more like a good movie. Do you know what I mean?
No, I'm 100% on the same page. I have 2 questions because I know it's bedtime. So,
go, Mama.
Let's see if I can remember them. So,
have we been drinking? I wish I had next time I'm gonna have a drink.
I mean, I don't know who you fucking think you're talking to. Obviously, I've been drinking this whole time. I just thought of a mug, so
I'm not on my game.
I don't have any wine glasses. Anyways, just Aronofsky real quick. So, rewatch Black Swan, obviously, but like.
And Mother.
And Mother, yeah. Mother, I've seen maybe like 4 or 5. I actually own Mother. My favorite. I think it's going to be hard to ever for him to peak Pi or Requiem. I think it's gonna be like impossible. And when he did that fucking Noah movie, what was it? Was it called Noah? Was that a piece of shit or was that just me?
I haven't seen that.
What was it?
Pi and Requiem, of course.
Okay.
I like Pi better of those two films.
Okay, but here is my question: have you seen Tree of Life? Not Tree of Life. Sorry, no. God damn it, I'm gonna forget the name of my favorite movie. The Aronofsky movie with Hugh Jackman and Rachel Weisz. Oh, it's my favorite top two favorite sci-fi. How do you spell Aronofsky? Aronofsky. Aronofsky. Oh, the first thing that comes up is Noah. Go fuck off and die. Oh, IMD. Aronofsky, Hugh Jackman. Why can't I? The Fountain. It's got the Tree of Life in it. Sorry, I did not mean to reference horrible.
When you remember it, but
it's The Fountain. It's The Fountain.
What is it?
The Fountain. It came out in 2006.
Do I need to see
Jackman and Rachel Weisz?
No, I haven't seen it.
Okay, Chad, please, will you and Seda please watch this and let's have a conversation about it because it is not just one of my top 5 sci-fi movies of all time. It's in my top 5 movies of all time.
Okay.
You're gonna hate it, I'm sure, just on principle alone. But that is that was question number 1.
Now, I know there's a lot of movies I love, but back to the RoboCop debacle.
The RoboCop debacle of 2019, yes.
Here's the thing. I think some movies, it's when I say it's personal, I think some movies, when you grow up watching that movie and then you have that, just like Disney for us, like when we have to tie back to it, it almost doesn't matter if it doesn't age well or if intellectually when we become adults, it's not, an intellectual film because it's taking us back to that childhood memory.
Right.
So there's something to be said for that too.
Yeah, the nostalgia carries a lot of weight. There's no doubt.
Yeah. So you have to put that in for Killer Clowns from Outer Space.
Yes.
All those movies that I grew up watching. Yeah.
I hope they have them at HHN again this year because that was such a great
we were just saying that. We were just at Universal and we were just saying because we walked through where it was and I was like, this is where Killer Clowns was.
I'm gonna upload the video on YouTube, but you're not in it. It's just me. But that whole area was some of the best theming that they've done in a long time.
Stuff from that night. Yeah.
Yeah.
Oh, it was a thing.
The other question I wanted to ask you though, but it just got away from me. We talked about Aronofsky.
I don't think this would be interesting to anyone but us to watch.
Oh, I have a thought. We have to set the precedent for what's interesting.
It's so specific to us, but yes, I guess discussing film and stuff. Yeah.
Yeah, and I have 3 people I can do this with in real life, and it's just not enough. But
so let's talk the Nightmare on Elm Street films real quick.
Please.
So, which ones are your favorite, and how do you feel that they progress, as you go from 1 to 7, or 8, I guess we could say?
So, part 2 is my favorite. It's absolutely my favorite.
What?
Okay, I'll tell you why.
Okay, I'm with you. I support you.
Okay. So, I'll tell you why. There's a little bit of a nostalgia factor because although I remember seeing the first one, the part 2 was the first one I remember being really cognizant of seeing in the theater. And the pool party and the stairs turning to mush and when she's in the refinery, because they always end up in a fucking refinery or boiler room, obviously. When she picks up the phone and it turns to his tongue and just there's so many things that are just take me back to being in that moment 30 X years ago. I think it's scarier than part 1. I think part 1 is you can put part 1 it's classic. You can't touch it. But it like just like you can't touch Nightmare Friday the 13th Part 1 or Halloween Part 1. Like they're canon. You can't fuck.
Right. They're in a league of their own.
Yeah, but I think Part 2 as a sequel is brilliant. I think it's scary, and it does have the nostalgia factor.
Because a lot of people, you know, think that Part 2 has like a strong homosexual like understory.
Yeah, I could see that.
And
but as a kid, you don't pick up on that.
A lot of fans like skip over it, and they love Part 1 and Part 3. You know what I mean? Which Part 3 to me feels a lot of parts of Part 3 feel too like Hollywood movie type. Does that make sense?
Yeah, but you have to refresh my memory on Part 3 because the Dream Child is Part 4, right? With Patricia Arquette and the dump.
Right.
So what's Part 3? What goes on?
So Part 3 is Dream Warriors. That's when Nancy from the first one comes back as an adult.
Okay.
And then he actually, I guess, dies in that one.
Okay.
So
yeah. Well, if you haven't seen it now. Okay. Yeah, that's.
What's the statute for limitations on Nightmare on Elm Street Part 3?
2 and 4 are like burned into my brain, and then 5.
I can't believe you think 2 is scarier than 1, though. I have to fight you on that because 1 is darker. 1's tonally darker.
I will give you that. But I think this is an example of the nostalgia, like winning out. Like my memory of seeing it, like as a kid.
They intensify. It does intensify in the first one, like with the gore effects, I think, maybe.
Well, especially when dude is in number 1 is getting like dragged across the ceiling and you have the blood and the whatever. Which is it? Which is the one where Daddy comes through the TV? Is that 4 or is that 3?
He comes TV and he pulls someone into it and says, "Welcome to primetime, bitch."
Yeah, wait, which one was that though?
Part 3.
That's Part 3. Okay, that's Dream Warriors. Okay.
Yeah, girl in the waiting room, and she wants to be an actress, so she's watching TV to do research because she's gonna become an actress.
Obviously, yeah.
So then he pulls her head through the screen and says, "Welcome to primetime, bitch."
And the waterbed is Part 2, though, right? Or is that Part 3?
That might be. The waterbed might be Part 4.
That might be, okay. So like my favorite horror scene of all time is Part 1 where she's in the tub, falls asleep, and his claws come up between the vajayjay. That is all. So awesome. You're not going to top that. Like West set the bar for like hitting somebody in their most vulnerable state, in their most vulnerable area. It's done.
Yes. And you already mentioned it, but the scene where she goes up on the ceiling and is getting like thrashed around, they built a room that actually spins for that. I mean, for such a low budget horror movie, like that's unprecedented.
Yeah, that's like Christopher Nolan Inception budget situations. Yeah.
I know. Fucking insane, and there's a whole situation.
That's amazing.
Yeah, so
maybe I don't remember 5. I remember 6 is Freddy's Return.
So 5 for me will always be the one because so from 4 to 5 they tried to continue the story with the same characters, but 4 had Patricia Arquette, and for 5 they couldn't get her. No, wait. But
didn't they also have they had Patricia Arquette, but didn't they also have
and they get her back, so they recast her with a different actress, which always drives me crazy when they do that.
Yeah, because it takes you completely out of the movie. But didn't Part 4 also have like well before he was famous, didn't it also have Forrest Whitaker, or am I just conflating 2 Black people?
No.
I can be racist on occasion.
Guy from Alien, Yaphet Kotto, the black guy in Part 6 or 7.
Okay, so that's just me being racist.
He's dead, yeah.
Okay. So part Part 6 I thought was great, and I have such a visceral memory of part 6 because my mom, we went to see it on opening night, and it opened the same night. Freddy's, what was it? New Nightmare is part 6, right?
New Nightmare is part 7. Freddy's Dead was part 6.
Shit. Okay, I'm talking about New Nightmare. Sorry. Freddy's Dead, I thought was
New Nightmare, the one that Heather Langenkamp looks.
Yeah, where they're real life. They break the fourth wall.
Yeah.
Yeah. Okay. So Freddy's Dead was actually really good, and I saw Freddy's Dead in 3D, and I still have the 3D glasses that came with the DVD when it came out.
Yes.
Watching 3D on a DVD at home is
special. Amazing.
Oh, we take so much for granted. We had such technology. So in terms of the question of the progression, like I think they did really good in terms of like nurturing this beloved character.
Yeah.
I have such a visceral memory of New Nightmare though, because New Nightmare opened the same night as Pulp Fiction, and my mom took me and we saw a double feature. Cinderell's joined the party. So we saw New Nightmare and then Pulp Fiction.
2 of my favorite movies.
Yes, I'm right here, baby. New Nightmare for its time, when did that come out? 94?
I think 97 or maybe earlier. No, earlier.
It
94.
So ahead of its time. And I think like that breaking of the fourth wall was just so
amazing. And that's crazy coming back into the series, which is amazing.
And was that your first time meeting Heather Langenkamp at MegaCon or at in Texas?
Yes, it was, and that's one of my favorite people on the planet. Let's get real. And she's a friend in my head.
More than higher than Debbie Gibson though? I mean, let's get into the hard question.
Like maybe equal. Or different.
Okay.
I grew up with both of those people.
That gives me a great perspective on your love for Heather Langenkamp. Yeah.
It's strong, baby.
I feel it from here.
New Nightmare, she did an amazing job, and she took it to such another level as a beautiful woman, as an actress, as everything. I mean, she was phenomenal in that movie, and she's such an unsung hero of that franchise, I think, because she's in the 3 most pivotal movies in that series.
I need to go back and watch 3.
1, 3, and 7. She really is like the gatekeeper of that whole franchise in a lot of ways, but she's absolutely gorgeous in New Nightmare, though.
She is. She is.
Because, you know, and she's still kind of an awkward teenager and stuff. So.
You think they're gonna... Okay, so you know how they did the remake in what, like 2012 or 2013 with
That never happened.
Okay, so you answered my question. But don't you think that the gentleman that played him, Jackie Earle Haley, who I really like as an actor, don't you think he did justice to Krueger?
I did it. At the same time, like Robert Englund is still like a very virile, amazing actor. Like it didn't need to be. Okay, he was like the right person at the wrong time. Does that make sense? Yeah, like if it were like, you know, 20 years later than it came out, and it was the same actor at the age he was at, that would have been like genius, you know?
Do you think they're gonna you think there's more coming down the pike and that Robert Englund will act in them, or no?
What I was just thinking is that
like not Freddy versus Jason bullshit, like canon.
Yeah, no. I liked when you said like how they did such a great job in that series of nurturing the character and really developing from film to film. You don't get that anymore outside of like the superhero films. They're the only ones that are doing that right now.
Yeah.
Like we don't get horror or any of these other genres doing that at all, and it's like disgusting. If there aren't any like great things that you root for and you're like, I can't wait for the next one. I guess like other than like the Paranormal Activity and
Yeah, but even that, like, there's been some hits and misses. But I mean, I
right.
think like Bloom. What is the film
Blum,
company?
yeah,
Blumhouse.
yeah, one of those.
Yeah, I don't know if you pronounce it Bloom or Blum. Also, one of the greatest houses in HHN that Jonathan and I went into. Um, I think like those movies are really good, but also I think though like outside of like Alien
It's
versus
not
Predator.
like Halloween or Freddy or our. I mean, you know what I mean?
No, I
Why do we have that level of epicness going on right now?
so this was the question that I wanted to ask you
And
like an hour ago.
idiot.
That was
Well,
be the like go to bed question. So this can be our last if you want to like go to bed. But like so we obviously have high investments in the Alien franchise, right? So we're owed one more Ridley Scott to complete the trilogy.
right.
What do you think is going to happen? Do you think that Fassbender in all of his daddiness is going to populate the next world with
Yeah, I think he'll be a big part of
aliens?
it. He wants to be, and I don't see why he wouldn't. I think people like loved him and would have more respect for him if Alien Covenant were a better film because he's so excellent in that character and in that role, but
Yeah,
hinged so much on his excellence. When it was an Alien film, a
right,
lot of people were saying just it's a David film, not an Alien
right.
film,
Yeah,
which I'm with, but I think they dropped the ball there big time. I mean,
so
he
true.
can't drop out the rest of the film. The rest of the film still has to be amazing, and it just wasn't.
You're absolutely fucking right. I thought like the whole, and you can correct me if I'm wrong. I thought the twist of like the droids having been the gods or the creators of the xenomorphs was such a nice, delightful twist. And I loved Fassbender making out with Fassbender.
Yeah,
That was a delight nobody asked for. But
yeah,
the movie, yeah, it was a perfect example of like Black Swan or Phantom Menace, where like you have great actors and like the shit does not like the writing and the narrative does not give them enough to work with.
no, you're absolutely right. And the whole thing about okay, I agree with you personally, but a huge portion of the Alien fan base thought that David being revealed as the creator of the Alien was like this major letdown, and I don't know if it's just because they feel that we should have never known who created the alien, or if it just strayed too far from what was in the original film of the engineers and the mystery of it all. And oh, is it that simple that just an android created him or created the alien? Um, there's a lot to wrestle with there.
Yeah, I can agree with both of those things. Like, I can agree with like having left it open and just a greater mystery. And I like with Prometheus, just this notion of what these mysterious engineers. But
Right.
also, though, it feels like because we had the privilege of the Alien versus Predator narrative,
Oh,
there's also I know, but like there's also like this other narrative that suggests that the Predator helped to create or helped maybe not to create but helped to deify and
right.
the Xenos and like this alien
Well,
race.
it's very, very fractured now, right? So you have all these different lines
I know.
parallel to each other that you could take the films and combine them in so many different ways now. Because you have like the 3 or 4 Predator films, you have the 2 Alien vs Predator films, you have the 3 initial Alien films, and then the 4th one with Resurrection, and so there's so many different kinds. And then you have the new films, Covenant and Prometheus, and you can kind of put them in all these different orders, tell different stories. But
What
I
did,
don't know.
did you like Resurrection? Did you like
What?
it? Did you like Resurrection?
No.
I think that's the first thing you and I have agreed upon all night.
No, we've agreed on a lot tonight.
Oh, okay. I'll have to go back and rewatch the footage.
We
No.
have. Let's get back to Quentin Tarantino, though. Do you think he's an asshole?
Oh, I definitely think he's an asshole, but he's a genius. So
Yeah.
it's one of those things where it's like, it's like I'm not going to compare him to a predator because there's not been any allegations. But if I may, it's just like if somewhere, don't get me going on the Michael Jackson analogy. I'll use Woody Allen as the analogy. We obviously is unsavory goings on, and we're not about that life.
I wrestle with
Annie Hall out of you can't take Annie Hall out of the
right
the reality that
you
we're
have to separate the art and the artist's personal life.
We don't have to, but I think that is one of the valid ways of viewing and criticizing art. There are people who think that you cannot separate them, and there are people that think that you can't. I think you can do both and.
I think he's harmless. Quentin, especially in the company of the other two you mentioned, he's fairly harmless.
Yeah.
And he does seem to repent things that were mistakes, that word choices and things, and he's amusing as hell.
You can definitely say that. Are you excited about Once Upon a Time in Hollywood?
So what's your number one Tarantino film?
Can I go pee and come back really quick and answer that?
Yes, take me with you. Just kidding.
I will. You want to go on a house tour? I'll take you on a house tour. Okay. So you're in the office. A little bit of a mess.
I thought you were peeing. So
what?
Number one film is, and then we'll discuss it.
My number one Tarantino?
Yes. Can I say mine?
Go ahead, say yours, because I may have to.
Mine's Jackie.
It was Reservoir Dogs, but go ahead.
Okay, mine's Jackie Brown, and I know that's.
No, I don't. Joel, Chad, this is Jules, my roommate. Jules, this is my dear friend Chad. Jules obviously can hear us doing this whole fucking situation. All right, I'm taking you to Tinkle. Hold on. All right, so you're saying Jackie Brown?
Yes. Oh my God.
I'm aiming you away from the pee.
Okay. Yes.
Don't worry, this will not get posted, or maybe it will.
I would love.
I have no qualms putting this on the YouTube.
All the more reason. Yeah, so I'm obsessed with Pam Grier and her like early blaxploitation films, and her in Jawbreaker with Rose McGowan, and I'm just.
Oh my God, I haven't seen Jawbreaker since it came out when I was in 11th grade, which is like 1998. I don't even remember her being in it. That's how long it's been since I've seen it.
Detective Cruz, you better rewatch it. Yes, honey. She's great in it too.
Let me pull up my panties. Hold on.
Okay.
Sorry, the fan is very loud. Let me give you a bathroom tour.
Let's do it.
So this mirror was here, and we have this lovely lavender paint job that I moved into. I was very fortunate to move into this moment where this was here. And then we have a Target,
I like the mirror frame.
A Target Kids moon phase shower curtain.
Oh, I like that.
There you go. That's that. And then
I like the frame on the mirror.
You come out of the bathroom, and you have a closet. You have single swimming. You have a Jules' room to the right. I won't go in there. You have the kitchen here. And then this is basically where you come in. So I'll take you from where you come in. So you walk in the door. You get Sindel screaming at you. You get a Tolkien moment here on the wall.
Oh, nice.
A little Tolkien decal moment. You have a little Jules in the kitchen moment.
Nice.
It's a tiny little kitchen, but she's cute. You have living room. Fireplace, living room.
That fireplace is so cute.
Yeah, it's just shitty. Doesn't work well. It's old. You have a swing moment.
Oh, I like that.
You get full carousel progress here. Sindel, that's enough. So I'm going to swing you around.
Oh, and the bench, yes.
Yeah, the benches are built in. So we're coming around full circle here. And then if you go up, that's the office where I just was. And I'll take you up to the room. Just that's the other door to Jules's room. Little cat moment there. And then we're back. So you would say Jackie Brown, like if Pam Grier wasn't in it though, would you still say Jackie Brown?
I mean, how could you have the film without her?
Well, I mean, I know that, but I'm just saying, like, would you still?
So
Like,
much about
what's
it
your
that I
second
love, though.
favorite Tarantino movie?
Yeah, I mean, there's just so much about it that I love. Like, it was so brilliant to cast her and bring her back. So that's like a huge factor, but I love the story. I love the music, the soundtrack. Oh my God.
Yeah,
Like
well,
Across 110th Street, that's one of the best songs ever made. And the use of it in the film is so effective. Like, it was one of the most, I saw it in LA as like a 35 millimeter, like,
sorry. It was my photo booth beeping. You saw
so
it in 35 mil?
yeah, I saw it in 35 mil, like obviously way after it initially came out, just like maybe like 3 years ago,
Mm-hmm.
or so, or 4 years ago, for the very first time. So my first time watching it was 35 millimeter, and it was just an emotional like experience.
I mean, I would imagine. I saw.
From the opening scenes where she's trying to get through the LA airport and you have the iconic tile on the wall, to the end where she's lip syncing in the car across 110th Street. It's
I
just
have
like
to watch it. I literally haven't seen that movie in probably like 15 years.
everything about it. I just love it. I love it. I can't say that about all his films. Like, I can't say with Kill Bill or with even Pulp Fiction that I love like everything about it.
Okay, so then this begs the next question though. Like, what did you think of? I know they were Robert Rodriguez co-productions, but like
Right.
Death Proof and Planet Terror. Like, I saw
I
those.
enjoyed them. They weren't like the cinema changing masterpieces of like, you
Of
know,
course, of course, of course.
yeah, I enjoyed them, like Planet Terror. Like, I really liked how he used Rose McGowan, and how gorgeous she was. Of course, later she would say she was used, but not like in the right way. You
Right.
know,
Well,
she
I mean,
said she was playing the Hollywood
has
game.
had some misgivings, even though they weren't like
Right.
come out and say like, oh, he took advantage or abused me physically on set, but she may as well have said as much. Like he
Yeah.
here to the brink, and he didn't seem very apologetic.
And they were aware of her beauty, and that was a major factor in casting her, not just her talent or what she could do. You know, I just love her.
Wait, but were you just referencing Rose or Uma being hired for their
Rose.
Rose, yeah.
Rose. That was the whole other situation, but I was talking about Rose.
Yeah. No, I feel that. I feel that.
You know, Rose struggled really hard being a part of the Hollywood system, and her looks hinging, it hinging on her looks so heavily. When I know she's a talented actress, but
So name
I
something.
think also this whole sidebar.
Yeah,
But
please.
I think Rose is a little. I think she's struggling mentally to cope with everything,
Yeah.
and I don't think she's fully in touch with reality. But I mean, can you blame her? I mean,
So this is actually interesting that you bring this up. So again, the book club was born of the women's group that I have, right? And so
yeah.
with the whole, anything goings on with the Me Too's and the whole thing, is
Nice.
us, right? And so you have Rose being kind of the champion, and then she has I don't know if it's still on the air, but she had her show that was
Rose Army.
okay. So I watched a couple episodes of that. Now, I think for even pre the Me Too exposure, she was a little detached.
Right.
And I know she had that accident and she had facial reconstruction and
Right.
you know, she wasn't getting job. Like I get all of that. Like I'm not
Yeah.
coming for Rose. I love Rose.
Yeah. Me too.
This is Tatum. This is Scream. This is Rose. We love her.
Yes.
Here's the thing, though. I totally agree with the detachment from reality. And what's interesting is that when she started to become famous for not necessarily the reasons anyone would want to, but the Me Too and the publicity and all of that, and the E Show, you know, she was talking about the fact that she was raised in a cult. And I don't know if you've seen any of those interviews or read any of that.
Yeah.
Okay. Well, the cult that she was brought up in is the Children of God, which is some of the people that used to live in the Dome. And the only reason I know of the Children of God is because of the Dome and having learned the history of the people that lived here back in the 60s and 70s, and then going on to watch, like, there's 2 documentaries on Netflix. I think they're both still there about the Children of God. But she was brought up in that cult, as was the Phoenix family. So your Rivers, your Joaquins, your Summer, your Rainbows, whatever the fuck their names are, like they I don't think the kids are part of it anymore, but I think the parents of the Phoenix family are still part of the family because they did change their name. But what's interesting is I did not know that Rose McGowan grew up in a cult, A, and B, specifically one that I know from having moved into this random building in Oakland. So things kind of came full circle. But when I watched the E Show, and especially when I watched how she handled when Asia Argento got called out for her having done some unsavory things to a younger boy, like, it's very clear that Rose is definitely struggling to like to like be a woman and a feminist and like say, hey, this happened to me and these things are wrong, but also she's definitely not 100% with us, I don't think.
Right.
Or she's really doped up all the time, because when you hear her talk, she sounds like she's either on heroin or she just left the fucking atmosphere.
Right, and she got, you know, picked up at the airport with her, right? So
yeah,
I don't think that was planted, you know.
No, I don't. No. Mama needed her medicine, and I'm not shaming her for it, but yeah, I think
yeah.
But that
it doesn't go against anything she's fighting for or discount her, but it is just a shame. It's a shame.
It is a fucking shame. Well, there's a lot of things going on right now that are a shame.
That's yeah.
So, can I ask one more question? And then you have to tell me when you're going to bed, because
after this, yeah, let's wrap it up.
Okay.
Ask me anything you want.
So, you know that, if you don't know, let me reiterate, Aubrey Plaza will be my wife before I die. I am only going because she's in it. Do you think they're going to do right by the franchise, or do you think they're going to fuck it up like they did with the Pet Sematary remake?
For which one?
Child's Play.
For what?
Child's Play.
Oh, Child's Play. Yeah. Well, I have mixed feelings because the Brad Dourif not being involved and him being the voice, you know, of for so many films, even these more recent ones, which he had no business being the voice for these like newer ones, but I think they're all still have their own, you know, charms.
Yeah.
But why? It's the same thing with Freddy. It's like, why would you change it this early in the game in a way when that guy could still come back, and I'm sure he doesn't want that much money to do it, and he would do it. I mean, and also the producer was always the same producer, and they're changing him too, and he has said, I don't know why they're changing from me or don't want me to do it. I'm happy to do it. So
because I think they're trying so hard to make something.
They're moving on when we're not ready. That's That's my feeling. Like,
Well,
I'm not.
but we're not ready. But I think like the studios are trying to like generate content that's going
Oh
to
yeah, they don't give a fuck. They want to make.
fetuses,
Yeah,
so they don't care.
they want to make money. I just, from everything I'm seeing, it just doesn't. It's just, it's weird. It's like they want that nostalgia crowd, but then they just want to do whatever they want to do. Like,
Yeah,
it's all, you can have it ways. I don't know.
yeah, you have to be a caretaker of a franchise, and I will end on this note. Like, there's a lot of fuckery going on, and I don't think the world needs another remake. But if we're going to continue to do remakes, people should take stock from J.J. Abrams and like what he did with reinvigorating the Star Trek franchise 10 years ago, and especially how he's been a steward of Star Wars. Like, it's clear that people can do this right. Like, there are examples of people that can like take the franchise and the characters and the Krugers and the
Yeah,
Xeno, whomever, and especially something as beloved as like Star Wars and Star
yeah. I like the last however many.
why do we care
I think we're
so much for the horror franchises?
right. It's different, right? I don't know why.
If
Not translate over
take it
that
seriously,
genre.
just because we don't take it seriously, we don't think it deserves.
I think the studios don't take horror seriously.
It's a shame. Thank God for the Blumhouses, and
Well, they just think it's a genre that has quick turnover, that they can make money with. People are going to go see it, even if it's not going to be like the Marvel films where it's making that level. So it's less attention to detail, less care goes into it, and it's more about just like crank it out. That's how I'm seeing it.
we got like 36 Fast and the Furious movies that nobody asked for. I mean, I think we asked for like the second one, but like
I certainly asked for them, but they made a lot of money, unfortunately. That's why they kept making them.
you asked for them?
No, I certainly did not ask for them.
Okay. See, I'm gonna sit back down because I thought you said you asked for it.
Hell no. I hate that garbage.
Okay.
But
I asked for maybe part 2, but beyond that, like nobody asked.
I didn't even ask for part 2. But the thing is, a lot of people were asking for them because they were making so much money. And it's like, at some point, they're just like giving, they're going to do whatever makes money.
Well, that's a good closing note and circles back to Annihilation in a sense, because when you make, excuse me, I'm having a youth. When you make like highbrow or like elevated horror, or like when you make things like people don't go to see it, and like there were a lot of critics that said Annihilation was too smart for audiences. I think that's true in a sense, and it's also unfair in a sense to suggest that the audience isn't smart enough to get it, but it wasn't marketed in a way that things like the popcorn shit is marketed, right? So you're going to get different audiences to come. So even if you have a smart audience, like smart audiences will go and see Marvel movies and Child's Play and Annihilation, but audiences that aren't maybe as whatever, I'm not trying to with an adjective right now because I don't want to come off as like shitty, but there are people that will see Annihilation that won't see Child's Play. Like it doesn't work both ways. So I think if we gave the attention, I think audiences are smart enough. I think that studios need to like spend the money to market things in such a way that it gives broader audiences a chance to experience as nuanced and as subtle as like an Annihilation or something.
I agree.
Or a Black Swan,
And people like you and me we were, posting about Annihilation, about how great it was.
Yeah.
But I guess not enough.
Well,
I don't know.
That's why we're here fighting the good fight, you and me.
That's
I
right.
love you. Will you do more of these with me, even if it's just you and me? I'm having like the best time talking to you.
Yes. Oh my God. Yes.
Like,
Same.
I just need this in my life, honestly. I don't
Yeah.
have this. So,
Let's do it.
okay.
Who else was supposed to come tonight that didn't?
So there were three women from women's group that RSVP'd. I got a DM from one that said like she couldn't come because her baby was not going to bed, and the other two people just didn't show up. But
Can we
regardless,
do like, let's do different topics, but let's do
yeah,
film and stuff. Yeah.
yeah. Well, why don't you just message me some things that you think would be like good to talk about, and like
It would
I'm
be great if we both watch a movie, even if it's one we've already seen. Like some of these ones we said we need to go back and rewatch.
pick one,
We'll
pick
watch it and
pick
then we'll talk about it. Yeah.
one, and we'll set a date. Pick one, and we'll set a date later to have watched
All
it.
right, our first one.
Which one?
What is our first one? Mother?
Is that if you pick the movie, and then we can talk
Okay.
offline about when we want to have seen it and film something.
Okay.
I
Let me
think
think of
Mother would be great, but like that's also like I think maybe we should try and pick something more people would want to see or would, you know what I mean, like to get more people involved.
Okay. Are we trying to grow the audience for this?
Well, not necessarily. Like I want to. I if I had your, excuse me, 100% okay, even with my going to the bathroom, I'd put this shit on YouTube like tonight. But because I think like this is the kind of content that I want to create, like just two like real people talking, and then
Yeah.
people can like comment and like engagement, and then like following will come from like real cinephiles. But I'll send this to you. You can watch it and you can say, Melissa, yes or no. But like moving forward, I think like we should pick a movie. No, we could like fuck it. Let's you pick a movie. I don't care how fucking niche it is. Pick a movie.
All right. Um, I just saw an amazing movie, by the way, that I was gonna tell you about.
Okay.
From like the 50s called Straight Jacket with Joan Crawford. Have you ever seen this?
No, I'm writing it down.
Okay, have Straight Jacket with Joan Crawford.
Oh, you had to
Oh,
say
it's fucking off the chain. I love
instead of no wire hangers, am I gonna get no straight jacket?
it. Basically.
Okay, I'm gonna watch it.
But have you seen Whatever Happened to Baby Jane? Okay, so if you like that movie, you'll like this movie. It's that subgenre like hag horror.
Yeah.
Hag horror, they call it. So like older women who are a little past their prime doing horror movies to kind of get by. So great. But when they succeed, they really succeed.
Can you imagine like a Mystery Science Theater 3000 like set to like have like the
Yes,